What's up, everybody? It's your boy Sterling from ENT, joined by my good friend Joseph.
As always.
How you guys doing today? How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's a good Friday. What is it, like 10, 11 a.m. right now on Friday?
Yeah.
It's going to be a good day. We're getting to that weekend. We made it through the week, so today we're finishing off, and we're carrying this momentum into the weekend. It's going to be a good weekend.
Me and Sterling are going to hang out a little bit later today.
Yeah, it's going to be a good weekend.
Chilling. Right now we're playing some, what do you call it, motocross?
Yes, sir.
Dude, that game is hard as hell.
It's a good game.
It's a lot of fun. But let's get to the topic.
Yeah, that's what I want to do today. I want to get right into the football. Let's
get
right into the football.
So here's the thing. Did you hear about the NFL halting all COVID procedures?
I actually did not hear about that.
Yes. So as of yesterday, I believe, the players and the NFLPA both agreed to take away all COVID guidelines for next season.
Oh, okay.
So unvaccinated players don't have to wear a mask. They don't have to have those tracking devices on them anymore. But they are taking away all type of COVID operations. No tracking, no testing, no mask, no this, no that. So realistically, for us fantasy people, this is great news.
That's a W.
Because if you guys remember last season, towards November to December.
Last two seasons.
Yeah. But what really happened was last season, it started off okay. Like no COVID, nothing. And then once we hit November, December, January, and it was like, oh yeah. Then it's going and doing its thing.
Honestly, once we got to like Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Then it started kind of like shutting down almost.
A little bit before, yeah.
But I mean, that's a great thing considering that you don't have to worry about, if this person catches COVID, I got to go find a replacement immediately.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest thing that kind of hurt me a little bit was it turned into one player would get injured and then my other player would get COVID. And then they come back from COVID and then get injured. And I'm speaking exclusively about one person. Hold up. I'm speaking about dude, the guy for the Jets, my boy himself, Michael Carter.
Oh yeah, Michael Carter.
So I love me some Michael Carter, but
I love me some Michael Carter too.
He got COVID, and then it turned into he got injured, and then Christian McCaffrey got injured, and then my season. Dude, you can't tell me I was making a push. Like at the end of the season, I was making a little bit of a push.
I got screwed over, dude. I got completely screwed over.
Did you?
That was unfortunate. Last year was by far my worst year of fantasy.
Derrick Henry.
In my career of fantasy football. It was a bad year.
It was.
It was a bad year, dude. It was a tough year. My first year that I didn't make the playoffs. That's a rough thing, you know.
It's a tough thing.
We're used to winning over here.
Not me.
And so to not make the playoffs, that's very unfortunate. That's an unfortunate situation that I didn't want to find myself in. But I was there.
You were there.
And a lot of stuff happened. You know, I had the Derrick Henry situation.
Definitely.
Derrick Henry was my guy the whole season.
Yeah.
Then to lose him, and then just have to not really scramble, but my other options weren't the best. Options weren't the best.
Yeah.
And so I had who are my other running backs? I'm trying to remember right now. Elijah Mitchell. He was solid for me all season.
He held it down. You know. A little side note, we're going to be talking about some breakout players.
Yeah. And
you kind of took the words right out of my mouth on Eli Mitchell because I really like that guy. But continue with your story.
What else did we have?
You had Eli.
I had Miles Sanders. Who was doing Miles Sanders things all year. And that's what I'm saying. Freaking missing games here, not doing much here. It was a mess. It was a mess for Miles Sanders last year. And then who else did I have? Mike Davis at the beginning of the year. I had him.
You cut him fast as hell though.
Yeah.
He lost his value super duper fast.
Yeah, he fell off literally like as soon as we actually got to watch him play football.
It was bad.
Yeah, it was bad, dude. It was really bad.
You know, I was thinking in my head, like early last season, I was like, dude, a little bit of a sleeper candidate, Mike Davis, excuse me. But I was like, dude, I think he's a potential breakout. I thought it, but no, it didn't come to fruition. I like his running style.
Yeah.
I like his running style. He runs hard and he runs fast. And when you're playing against a defense for 4 quarters, that tires him out. Someone who's always going to take the hit, someone who's always going to go and give it every single effort on every single play. Those are usually the backs you want.
On paper, it sounds really good.
Like, say, like, the Josh Jacobs situation for the Raiders, it's like, on paper, it's all good. But when it actually comes down to execution, it's a little more choppy.
Yeah, especially with the Falcons. They were behind in a lot of games. Game script didn't really help them.
No, they had no type of game script for any type of running.
At all.
But they did find a way to get Cordell Patterson touches.
Which is a very interesting player. He's a very interesting player.
I kind of want to ask you this now. Is Cordell Patterson going to hold up his...
Okay, so let's get right into it.
Let's get right into it.
So let's bring up some players that were breakout players last season, and let's decide if they if we think they're going to continue this.
Okay.
Let's start off with Cordero?
Yeah, we can start off with Cordero.
Okay.
So
start off with Cordero. So
I'll give him a little season recap.
Okay.
So Cordero came into the season not very highly touted.
Nope.
Not in any sense. I didn't draft him. He wasn't on my draft board. He wasn't on Sterling's draft board. And a good amount of people didn't even think about drafting him.
Yeah, he was undrafted in most leagues, if I'm not mistaken, or drafted in like the very end.
5%.
Yeah.
So it kind of tells you, like, he really did come out of nowhere. Cordero Patterson has always been a good special teams player. He's always been fast. He's always been agile. When he finds the ball in open space, he's gonna get yards.
Yeah, that's
the thing that I really like about Cordell. Like, he finds a way to get yards. Yeah, he finds a way.
So that's the thing. Before last season, coming into Cordell Patterson was a player where you can obviously he's a talented player.
Yeah.
He can obviously we saw kick returns. Yeah. We saw he was on the Bears. They used him a little bit as a running back on the Bears too. They used him in some different situations. And so you could see Cordell Patterson was a decent player, but where did he fit?
He didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
The Raiders had Cordell Patterson for a cup of tea, and we played him at wide receiver, and a
lot of people had Cordell Patterson for a cup of tea.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing.
And it's like, and it just goes to show you that these players just come out of nowhere sometimes.
Yeah.
We may... and like I was telling...
That's what I'm saying. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
I remember, what's it called? Earlier in last season, me and you had a little debate on the show.
Yeah.
Who was a more surprising player, Jamar Chase or Cordero Patterson?
That's a hard one.
And at the time, I remember I said Cordero Patterson. And I still think Cordero Patterson was the most surprising player of the whole last season.
Yeah.
And so... for him because he was a player who was bounced around team to team, didn't really have a situation where he fit in. Is he a wide receiver? Is he a special teams specialist?
Yeah.
Is he, what is he? And so we never really knew until last season, just out of nowhere, bam, he was getting, 3 touchdown games?
Yeah.
He was having crazy games last year, and so for him just to come out of nowhere like that was crazy. That was really crazy.
People want to say, his yards per carry and everything dropped towards the end of the season. But I kind of want to also just put this into perspective. When you're playing in the NFL, it's hard to keep up a pace like Cordell Patterson had. It's not easy to put up 3 touchdowns in a game, obviously, because nobody really does it very often.
Yeah, that's not anything you can keep up.
So it's very... the numbers he was putting up was almost unsustainable for him.
Yeah.
And you see, that's what begs the question. Will he have it next year? Was this season sustainable? Do you think the Falcons want to give him that amount of touches again? If I was the Falcons, I'd say yes.
Really?
I'd say keep giving Cordero the ball. You have...
there's something going there. I see what you're saying.
You see, what I'm hoping is the Falcons do is they go and get themselves a Malik Williams, from the draft. You draft somebody... Malik Willis. Yeah. So Malik Willis, he's a dual threat quarterback. He can throw the ball. And I feel like it fit in perfectly with the scheme that the Falcons are trying to go with, a run and gun kind of option. And Matt Ryan isn't, dude. He's an average passer at this point with zero pocket presence. So it's if you get yourself somebody who's able to scramble out and make throws like that, Kyle Pitts is going to flourish because he's one of those players that he'll find a soft spot in the zone and be able to get a catch.
Yeah.
And, with Cordell Patterson and Kyle Pitts, those are 2 fast options. And then let's hope that they get Calvin Ridley back next season. I really hope he does come back.
There's some rumors that he might be moved to another team.
Wow.
There's some rumors going around. But
I don't necessarily agree with that move. because Calvin Ridley has kind of proved himself to be the option for the Falcons. Mm-hmm. You know, through health, mental health or not, I feel like he's their best option. You know?
Yeah, 100%.
And I wouldn't just get rid of him because he's having issues outside of the football field.
I think it's just
that's not fair.
Because situations. Well, first of all, what direction do the Falcons want to move in?
You see,
because
I'm pretty sure they want to move towards youth.
And so Calvin Ridley is
28.
Yeah, I want to say he's 27 or 28.
Yeah.
So he's still sort of a young player.
He still has a few years,
which is crazy because he was a rookie 3-4 years ago.
It feels like it, yeah.
It feels like it. It feels like he's much younger than 27 or 28. But I just saw that the other day, that he's actually one of those players that is older than you think.
Yeah, he got drafted into the league later.
Yeah, and so in my mind, Calvin Ridley's a super young player, but he's really not.
No.
But so what direction do they want to move in? Because this is the thing that some teams fall into, where it's like, so they have Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Let's take a step back and let's look at Matt Ryan.
Okay,
Matt Ryan, as you just said, he's not in his days where he was one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL.
So me and Sterling had the joke on the podcast a few months ago. It's, what's Matt Ryan good for?
Yeah, 20 points, I think.
2 touchdowns and an interception. That's Matt Ryan for you. He throws the ball a lot, 40 times a game.
Yeah, because he has to.
But that doesn't necessarily mean oh yeah, he's putting up great numbers. When you're getting that much volume and that much time, well, just enough chances, of course you're gonna get a touchdown at some point.
Yeah.
And I don't think Matt Ryan will be the starting quarterback by the end of next season.
I don't think you will either.
I think
you will be at the start because
I agree. I think you
Matt
will be
Ryan
at the start.
is a guy who. So the Falcons are at that point where they need to start rebuilding. They need to start looking more towards their youth,
especially towards the defense side.
Yes, and so for a guy like Matt Ryan, I understand. Matt Ryan's been a Falcon his entire career. He was, if I'm not mistaken, Matt Ryan was #1 pick.
Oh, yeah, something like that.
Or he was a top pick.
Top 5.
Yeah, top 5 for sure. He was in the same draft as Joe Flacco. That's how I remember that. So, but freaking Matt Ryan, he's in his older age. I understand he's been a Falcon his entire career. Maybe they want to hold on to that, but
you can't hold on to it forever.
Don't do it, because Matt Ryan is gonna be on a losing team if he stays here, and Matt Ryan is at that point where he wants to win football games.
Yeah, he's an older guy.
He's an older guy.
You can't blame him for that.
And so, just come to an agreement, Matt Ryan. We're looking to move on. Where do you want to go? Because we can get you to that team. Yeah. We can trade you to that team.
Because they want capital. They want draft capital. They want things that they can get for youth. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I feel like...
And there's a lot of teams out there who are in need of a veteran quarterback.
Yeah, definitely. The Washington Commanders.
You can argue Denver Broncos can go in there. Carolina Panthers can go in there.
That's all there.
There's a lot of teams who are in need of a quarterback right now. And Matt Ryan he can help out some of those teams.
You see, I like... when the NFL franchises hold on to the legacy of their players, but at the same point, Matt Ryan is not no Drew Brees.
Do it for the sake of Matt Ryan.
Do it for Matt Ryan's sake. Don't do it for your own team's sake.
Because look what the Lions did with Matthew Stafford. They're
they just held him back.
Stafford, we want to go in a new direction. We want to try to get you the best chance to win games, and so that you can win games and at least have a couple seasons in your career where you're not on a sucky team.
It's true.
And so if they do that with Matt Ryan, it's a win-win. Matt Ryan gets to go somewhere where he's probably going to win a lot more football games. The Falcons get to start to look for their next franchise quarterback, which they need to start doing.
I'm saying in the draft that they do that.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely.
I agree. I think they should look in the draft.
It's not my favorite quarterback class, but I do feel like there's some depth. Not necessarily depth. I feel like there's a chance for a few breakout players.
Yeah.
In the top 5, you see Sam Howell, you see Malik Willis, you see who was it?
Kenny Pickett,
the Riddler,
Desmond Ridder,
and I could see them possibly
there's
breaking
some quarterbacks there. It's not like recent years where there's quarterback.
No.
Like, do you remember the frickin' Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Tua? That was like quarterback.
That is
like
stats.
in the top 6 right there.
Yeah.
Then like the Josh Allen year, who was it? Mayfield, Allen, Lamar, Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
That's a lot of quarterbacks.
That is.
That's a lot of quarterbacks.
So it's one of those things. I feel like the Falcons, if they put Cordero in the right scheme, he will 100% flourish again. Like, if they keep on doing what they were doing with them this season, he's going to continue to do what he was doing. And I feel good. I feel good about that. If you have a 5th or 6th round pick, I'd say Cordell Patterson, if he's there, take him. I'd be surprised if he fell down to like the 5th or 6th round.
Yeah.
Because
it depends.
There's some people who like to try to bank on that season from last year. Mm-hmm. And that's where I've fallen into, and that's what hurts my team. I fall into names that they've been from last season, not thinking about where they're going to be next season.
Yeah. So Cordero Patterson, this is a tricky situation.
It is.
I'm not gonna lie, because I believe in Cordell Patterson, the player. He's a very talented player. We've 100%. Seen that.
Yeah.
He's a super versatile player. We've seen that. One of the most versatile players in the entire league. And so, but are they going to continue to give him that opportunity? That's what I'm thinking.
That's the thing.
And if it came down to me, if I'm sitting there in the, let's just say 5th round, if I'm sitting there in the 5th round of a fantasy draft, and I see Cordero Patterson sitting there,
I'm going to take him.
I'm gonna go the opposite route, and I'm gonna look for an option that I think could be a little bit more stable, where there's not as many question marks.
Yeah,
because I think he can get it done, but I think there's just too many question marks.
Yeah,
like we don't know. There's a lot of situations that we're yet to know what's gonna go on.
Yeah, so that's what I was telling Sterling in the car earlier when we went to go get some drinks. I was like, dude, a lot of this stuff we're talking about is kind of subjective. And we won't really know what's going on until we get maybe a month later, April. That should give us like a decent sense of what's going on.
Dude, the off season's gonna start breaking down here real soon.
So with this, where we're at in the off season, it's kind of subjective on what players we think are gonna break out, which ones aren't, which ones are gonna keep going. It's sort of like this. We're kind of talking about what we've seen from last season, and we're putting it into words to try to, like, simplify it for next season.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. If we get all these wrong, I'm sorry. You guys shouldn't have.
Well, that's part of it.
That's part of it. We're gonna miss.
Look, this is what I like. This is why I love sports so much, because
you never know.
You never know. Literally, the entire NFL can change tomorrow. Tom Brady could be like, you know what?
I'm coming
back to the NFL.
And what if he goes back to the Patriots? No, I'm just kidding. He won't do that.
What if he does something random?
That'd
goes
be
to the Broncos?
Random.
You think if he went to the Broncos, they're a contender?
I really don't want to talk about that.
So wait. This is actually a question. Are the Broncos a contender if they go out and get a really good quarterback? Like, let's say, there's quarterbacks available, dude. Deshaun Watson, depending on his situation, he could be available. Aaron Rodgers, we know, is available, or possibly available, depending on what he wants to do. Russell Wilson has obviously shown frustrations. That one's a little bit more unlikely, but
yeah, I don't see that one happening.
Yeah.
So, here's this. The Broncos are kind of in this state right now. They have 3 great wide receivers and a great tight end, and they have Javonte Williams,
a stud running back,
and they have Garrett Bowles, and they have this, and they have that. It just comes down
solid defense
and a solid defense.
Young pieces too.
Patrick Surtain.
Yeah, Patrick Surtain.
He looks really good.
I really like him.
But this is pretty hard for me to say. If they do get a quarterback, they're pretty much contenders. Mm-hmm. I'd say it depends on the caliber of quarterback they get.
It does.
But I could see them getting into like the 5th or 6th seed. Because the AFC West, believe it or not, is one of the best conferences in
out of
the
nowhere.
NFL.
Out of nowhere.
I want to tell you this too. We've been saying Devontae Adams to the Raiders, and if he comes to the Raiders, that's just gonna make it even more. It's gonna make it even more.
Yeah, that's
close.
crazy, dude. That's gonna be crazy.
And I feel like for a lot of years, it was like the AFC North was like not the AFC North. Yeah, the
AFC North's been solid.
Yeah, like it used to be like one of those, and then now it's transferring to like the AFC West just based on Patrick Mahomes for the Chiefs. The Raiders, they put their pieces together.
Yep, they put their pieces together. That's what I like about the Raiders. They've put their pieces together.
You know, that's what I really do like about the Raiders is we don't necessarily always have to go and trade for the best player or do this, but we still find some way to make it work. Mm-hmm. You know, our team wasn't great last year. You know, we had our issues here. We had our issues there. But when it comes down to it, bro, it was successful. You know? And we put it together. And that's what I feel like that's all it takes for some teams, you know? Just putting the pieces together like this. It's kind of like the 49ers, how they got so far into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, they don't necessarily have, like, the biggest pieces. Like, besides Deebo Samuel, it's kind of like they're role players. They know what their role is. And so when it comes down to it, once you put those pieces together, you have a fluid machine. Just like, and that's what wins you playoff games. Mm-hmm. That's what wins you games, period. So, but let's talk about another breakout candidate.
Yeah.
So, I kind of want to talk about this. A lot of people are going to say, like, okay, Jamar Chase, first or second round. You know? But I kind of want to talk about T. Higgins.
Okay.
I feel like T. Higgins is personally one of my favorite players for next season. Just looking at it ahead, you could probably get him for a low draft capital and still make banquet from it, you know? Because teams this offseason are going to have time to look at the Cincinnati Bengals tape and be like, okay, how can we shut down Jamar Chase? Or what can we do to stall him a little bit?
Slow him down.
So, you know, it's probably going to be bracket coverage over the top. And, you know, a corner and a safety on him to protect him from going upfield. But when that clears out, guess who comes through? Mm-hmm. T. Higgins.
Yeah.
And you've seen it in the Super Bowl, bro. He's a good player.
He's a very good player. Well, we've seen that before the Super Bowl. We've seen that for a while now.
We've been seeing it. You know, I really do like T. Higgins. He had a few issues earlier in the season, dealing with some injuries, dealing with Jamar Chase's breakout. I mean, when he was breaking out, the coaches were feeding him the ball. They were feeding Jamar the ball.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's going to eventually trickle down to T. Higgins and give him less targets. But, you know, that's okay because he still did his thing. He was the number 2 and he still ate up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he did.
So, I'm really liking T. Higgins for next season. You could probably snag him 8th, 9th round.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, T. Higgins is going to be a guy I'm going to be looking for in drafts.
Yeah.
Just because, like you're saying, everybody's going to be so focused on Jamar.
Yeah.
On Jamar. They're going to forget about T.
And T, he's fast, bro. Mm-hmm. T is fast, he's physical, he's tall, and he can catch the ball over your head. So, that's some fire stuff right there. He's one of my favorite. Like, he's probably the perfect number 2 to have with Jamar Chase. Yeah.
I really like that
because you have the speed on one side, and then you have the versatility and the strength on the other. And then it's kind of like a double-edged sword. What?
Over here's Tyler Boyd.
Exactly.
Over here's Tyler Boyd. And then over here is Joe Mixon.
It's true. And then in the middle is Joe Burrow.
And yeah, it's Joe Burrow.
You fixed the offensive line for the Bengals, and you got yourself a possible Super Bowl contender.
It's kind of scary, bro. Kind of scary.
And because their defense is really good too.
Yeah.
You know, and it, like we're saying, put your pieces together. That's what the Bengals did last season, bro. They put their season.
I don't even think they put their pieces together. The Raiders put their pieces together. The Bengals just
they just like slammed it all together and we're like, okay.
With the Raiders, it's like, all right, here we're gonna get a piece, then we're gonna get a piece here, and they just slowly build their team. Yeah,
we did.
With the Bengals, it was like,
okay, yeah, this
is
happening.
We got rid of Andy Dalton. Mm-hmm. Now we got Joe Burrow. Then they played like one season like that. Joe Burrow got hurt. Then off season, it's like boom, boom, boom. All right, here we are.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase came out of nowhere. A lot of this stuff came out of nowhere.
You want to talk about another breakout player?
Another player. So let's see. Who else can we talk about? Trying to think. Let's rattle off a couple quick ones.
Okay. Mike Williams.
Mike Williams. Do I think that's going to continue? Oh, that's actually a really good question.
Thank you.
Really good question.
I like this question.
Yes. Yeah, I think Mike Williams is going to continue. I don't know if he's going to continue at that pace that he was for, like, what is it, first 6 weeks of the season? Remember that? Remember when he was, the wide receiver one?
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Dude, I want to go. I wish you could play the clip. Wide receiver one, Mike Williams. You remember when we were talking about that?
I remember when we were talking about that. That was like episode 3 of the podcast.
Yeah.
That was a really early episode.
It was. And it's crazy because he played well through the first, 6, 7 games?
Yeah, 6 or 7. Then he had like that one game against the Raiders. Then he had that other game where he did bad, and then a couple more, and then he was just a little inconsistent.
Yeah, and but that's the thing with Mike Williams. When you draft Mike Williams, you start him and you leave him because he could either have a 35-point game or he could have a 5-point game. Yeah. You really don't freaking know with him. And with Keenan Allen, you see it's a safer floor but a lower ceiling, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Because I'd say Keenan Allen is probably topped off at about 20 to 25 at the most, bro. At the most. He's getting up there in age.
He didn't have his
best season.
Big games last year.
No. So I feel like this is kind of something that's the pattern is gonna continue with Keenan Allen.
I think it can, yeah.
And I really do like Keenan Allen, but as you get older, you lose a stride, and that's okay. But I do like Mike Williams for next season.
Yeah, I like Mike Williams for next season.
If you're telling me, would you be opposed if the Chargers moved Keenan Allen to wide receiver 2 and Mike Williams to wide receiver 1?
Would I be opposed? Yes.
You'd be opposed to it?
I'd be opposed to it.
You think Keenan Allen is the better player?
I think Keenan Allen he's the better player.
He definitely has more technique, and he's, as we like to say, he's a character guy. You know what I'm saying? Character really doesn't speak to fantasy football, but it does speak to football.
Yeah.
If you have a high character player, those players really bring up the morale for your team, and that's really important. And that, believe it or not, all that stuff that we don't really talk about, like player relationships with quarterback and wide receiver, like it's also convoluted sometimes that we don't even get to talk about it.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff people don't realize. There's so much that goes into.
It's just
we just talk about what we see on the field.
Yes.
These guys have their lives that they're living day to day. These guys are families, teammates, training, everything that goes into this. There's so much stuff that we don't understand. We don't get to see. That's why we don't get to talk about it. We don't know what's going on.
You see, what's really cool is, if you're like a casual football fan, you just see what goes on for the field for 60 minutes, and then you're like, okay, then that was a good game.
Football game. Change the channel. Now I'm on to what I'm doing next.
But if you really think about it and you really look at football, it starts to really it's pretty crazy, bro, because it's not as simple as it looks. Like, it's not just, you go block and then you hit somebody. It's not that. It's not that simple. It's a lot of these coaches are masterminds at what they do, bro. And the reason that they get those big gains is because they thought about it and they put it on paper and then their team executes it, bro. Mm-hmm. It's so much more than just, just run this play and let's hope it works.
Yeah.
That's not how it goes. The coaches are looking for specific formations to run specific plays with. And then once you get that going, it turns into,
And then you have a guy on the other sideline who's literally doing everything
in their power to
stop you from doing that.
And it's amazing, bro.
That's why football is so
It's crazy. A chess match. It's a big chess match.
It's a huge chess match. That's exactly what it is, dude.
Yeah. And then when it comes down to it, looking at older football back in the days in the 80s and 90s, it was all defense. Mm-hmm. And defense was the most important thing because realistically, what's going to win you championships?
Yeah, that's what they always say.
Defense wins championships.
Yeah.
Just think about your Ravens when Trent Dilfer.
Yeah, Trent Dilfer, bro.
That's
the craziest thing, bro. Trent Dilfer. The man didn't even have hair on his head, bro.
No.
Literally, not one single follicle.
So he's definitely not a dilf, dude. Definitely not a dilf. But it's one of those things. Defense, if you have it, you're going to win games.
Yeah.
And that's what happens to a lot of teams. They fall into the pit of let's only get offense and let's only draft offensive players. And then their defense ends up losing them games.
Yeah.
I can name this team right here definitely does a lot of that. This team right here, our defense is always bad. And then you have teams like the Falcons, bro. Oh my god.
Dude, when have they ever had a defense?
I don't think.
I can't even remember.
5-6 years, bro. I don't think they've had a good defense.
I cannot name one single good defense.
No.
That they've had.
No.
Their defense has always been terrible, bro. Literally, even when they were a good team, bro,
their defense was bad.
Their defense was so bad.
When Desmond Trufant is your starting cornerback, I mean, he started for them in the Super Bowl, bro.
Yeah.
It just goes to show you that their defense was just not it.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It was
never it.
You want to say like Forrest Aluakon, but I don't even think. Does he still play for them?
Bro, I don't know.
Exactly, bro.
I don't
so
know,
it just goes to show the fact. But let's riddle off another guy.
Okay, yeah, another guy. So, let's see, another guy.
I kind of want to talk about an NFC player.
Okay, NFC player. Who is it?
Let's talk about. I kind of want to talk about Aaron Jones, and I kind of want to talk about his partner. What's his name?
AJ Dillon. AJ Dillon.
So, here's what it comes down to. I think AJ Dillon could go somewhere and start. Realistically speaking, if he went to a team that needs a running back, I think that he'd be a beast. I think he, if it really comes down to it, like if he's lower on the draft, you probably got yourself a steal. If he's playing for another team, but even if he's playing for the Packers, I still like him.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I want him to be the starter for the Packers, dude.
I want him to be the starter.
But so I would like to see. It depends on what happens with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae.
And Aaron Jones, too.
Yeah, and Aaron Jones, too. Because what is Aaron Jones' situation?
I mean, I think, if you ask me, he's proved himself enough to stay in Green Bay for as long as he wants.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody in Green Bay who says Aaron Jones is not a good running back. Because he has that potential, and he always has. He has those games sometimes where it's like he'll give you 3 points, but it doesn't really help that he got injured, And if AJ Dillon, when he comes in, he just shines, Yeah. It's like the diamond in the rough sometimes. Like you threw him out there and he started performing. He's a bigger back. He's strong, bro.
Very strong.
He has that low sense of gravity to really hit, truck people.
Yeah, he has like the biggest quads in the NFL, dude. Second to Saquon, maybe.
Second to Saquon. Ooh, that's a good player to talk about soon.
That is a very good player to talk about. That's a very good player.
But yeah, if it really comes down to it, I'd say AJ Dillon could definitely go in a 12 league PPR easily. It's just 12 to 14 team. It's just when it hits the 10-teamer, you want starters. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. Like last year, I was resorted to start J.D. McKissick, which was just...
Last year was rough.
Last year was very rough, dude.
There was a time I was starting some scrubs, dude.
Yeah.
I was starting like freaking Jeff Wilson and who else was I starting? Some guys off the waiver wire, dude.
Yeah.
It was so unfortunate.
I kind of got lucky with Donta Foreman, though.
Oh, yeah, Donta Foreman.
I got lucky with that dude.
So,
but okay.
Wait, I want to continue talking about the situation because I really like AJ Dillon. I'm a big fan of AJ Dillon. And I believe that he could be the number one running back on a team.
Oh, definitely.
I think he could be the number one running back for the Packers.
If it comes down to it,
AJ Dillon, because I don't know if you've been seeing this. There's been a lot of chatter and talk about this. That the running back position in real life, not for fantasy, because it's a lot different for fantasy, but in real life, the running back position is a kind of a position where it might be one of the least important positions.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's replaceable.
It is.
You can find a lot of running backs. If you have a good offensive line, you can help out your running back a lot. Obviously, if you have a good quarterback, you can take pressure off your running back. It's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So possibly the running back position could be like an expendable position. You
see, and that's the craziest thing about fantasy football. Running back is the most important.
It's literally the most important.
So the roles kind of switch, and that's what makes fantasy football hard. Is if you don't have the right options, you're probably not gonna win, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's realistically when it comes down to. If you don't have the options,
if you don't have the depth on your team, if you're not ready for that notification on Thursday morning that this guy's been downgraded to out. Then if you're not ready for that, then you're probably not going to win in fantasy football.
It's true. It is true, because you're banking on a player to play, and then you have to throw somebody who's probably going to get 5 or 6 points out there, and that really hurts you, you know, and that's really what kills you in fantasy football, not having a second option.
And so for the AJ Dillon situation, I think the Packers, I think in their mind, they want to have a 1-2 punch. They want to keep them both. I think definitely. They want to have that nice 1-2 punch
because they both complement each other.
They do. They complement each other very well. And so I would kind of like to see them sort of lean on. If I was personally the Packers, they probably won't do this. But AJ Dillon, to me, is the guy who you could start off with.
First down. Second down.
Bam. Second down, bam. Because he's a power runner. He's going to tire out the defense throughout the game. That's going to tire out the defense.
That's what I really like about him.
Then you have Aaron Jones out of the backfield. Nice little screen pass. He takes it for a 30-yard gain.
Exactly.
Nice little run. He's a talented player, and he's speedy, and he's quick. So you tire out the defense. You bring in the speed, change of pace back. Aaron Jones, bam. Obviously Aaron Jones isn't just a third down back. That's why they're kind of it's a
that's why it's like it's very 50-50.
Aaron Jones is such a good player that you don't want
to get him
to a role like that.
Yeah, and then that's what we're talking about, the whole player relations. If you don't give your starter the reps that they want, they're gonna, players.
We're in the era where players will speak their mind, and a lot of times they get what they want.
Yes.
If they're not happy in a situation, a player's gonna speak their mind. They're gonna talk about it, and they're gonna try to either get out of that situation or change their situation.
Sounds like a testament to the time, my boy. Sounds like a testament to the time.
It depends on what you think about it. What do you think about that? I'm honestly, I like the days where players were like, "Oh, I'm loyal to this team. Yes. This is my situation." Blah blah blah. But I'm kind of happier that it's this way now.
So, to keep it real with you, I've played sports on a sports team, and my biggest role I felt was being the person that accepts the role no matter how big or how small, and I don't complain about it. And coaches really did like that about me. Like, if a coach told me, I want you to go do this, I'll go do that. And you won't hear me complain. If I'm sitting on the bench for a game, I'm sitting on the bench for a game. I feel like it's important for players to have that humility of, my coaches realistically know what's best, and you just have to listen sometimes.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
Your coaches, your GMs, and your owners, they're not trying to down you in any way.
Yeah.
They're trying to put you in a position so you can succeed. And it's one of those things it creates like sort of like an Antonio Brown situation, sort of.
Yeah, because in recent years, it kind of started off in the NBA a little bit with the whole player empowerment thing.
That's good though.
It's a good thing. I like it because to me, like we were just talking about, this is more than just football.
It is.
A lot of times maybe a player, because let's say this player's in a situation where maybe they don't like the city they're living in. There's so much stuff, like a person's entire life. This is literally their entire life. To me, if you're not in a situation where you're happy, where you wish that you were in another situation where you don't want to do this anymore, to me, the best thing for a person is just to
move on.
If you're not happy in a situation, get out of a situation. That's kind of how I look at it. But I also agree.
I feel like there's levels to it, though. I feel like you have to be cooperative with your team. You have to be cooperative with the owners, and you have to be cooperative enough to not publicly speak down on your team.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's the biggest thing that I do not like.
There's ways that you can go about it. There's good ways you can go about it.
Like,
there's also bad ways you can go about it.
So, like, if you were to ask me, Joseph, last game you got 30 touches. Today you got 10. What happened? Well, it was all the coach's fault. Screw the coach. That's a bad way to go at it.
Yeah.
Or you could just answer like, today was a rough game. The scheme really didn't work out for me today. You just look forward to next game. And then, you start explaining when you put it out there, like, oh yeah, that scheme didn't work for me. Maybe the coaches will be like, okay, then let's try this one.
Yeah.
You can't just publicly go. It's jumping the gun. You can't jump the gun. You have to assess it and figure it out, because believe it or not, these dudes are getting paid millions of dollars, bro. When you're getting paid millions of dollars, They're paying you. They're paying for your house. They're paying for your car. They're paying for your food. They're paying for your family. They're paying for this, dude. So sometimes it's just good to keep a sense of, okay, let me think this out.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
You know, and that's the person that I've always kind of been, though. I'm not one to just jump into a situation without thinking about, okay, what could happen if things go wrong? You know?
Yeah.
And that's important.
It's very important.
Because you don't want to find yourself in a bad situation where you're walking off the damn field with your jersey off.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not a way to go about it.
That is just disgraceful.
That's an extreme.
That's disgraceful. Like, realistically, for the Buccaneers and for Antonio Brown's name, that is disgraceful.
Yeah.
How
Antonio Brown, he
has no humility at all.
He's because he's saying he wants to play football again, but the problem is that he's put himself in a situation where it's like nobody wants to give you a contract if that's the way that you're gonna act, because
what are we gonna do with that? That's not gonna help us at all. You know, and
he's a good player.
He is. Don't get me wrong. He's fast. He's got hands. He's everything you can want a wide receiver. But what it comes down to is he going to help your team win games? And if he's constantly bashing and constantly saying that this isn't good enough for him, and then it just creates a morale that you don't want in your team. And that's why you don't go get players like Antonio Brown. And, you know, I kind of feel the same way about Robert Leonard, and he plays in the NHL. Mm-hmm. You're like, sometimes, dude, he just can't keep his mouth shut. Like, for the life of him, he just can't. And it's like, I don't know. I don't necessarily agree.
Yeah.
I feel you just accept what situation you're in.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know, and that's what's really... But I do agree with the whole player empowerment, because without that, though, Calvin Ridley wouldn't have been able to take a break like that. Mm-hmm. And if that's what Calvin Ridley needed, that's what Calvin Ridley needed.
Yeah.
And there's no ifs, ands, or buts.
I saw a lot of people talking bad about Calvin Ridley.
That's messed
because
up.
of that. And to me, that's just not cool. That's not something that I want to see, because this guy was legitimately unhappy.
Yep.
He's going through a lot, and he was just like, you know what? I want to take some time, and I want to relax. I want to be able to
focus on life.
And so we sat out the rest of the season. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people saying this guy makes millions of dollars, all this stuff, blah blah blah, and I don't agree with that.
Money does not create happiness.
Yeah, it doesn't. And so if you're not happy in a situation like Calvin Ridley went up to me about it in a really good manner.
He did. I agree.
He came out, he made a statement. He was like, you know what?
I feel like that's the appropriate way to do it.
Yeah, that's a great way to go about it. And props to Calvin Ridley for that.
You know, yeah, I really do hope Calvin really comes back better than ever, ready to play some football next season.
Yeah, I'm very excited to watch Calvin Ridley play football.
I miss Calvin
Ridley. Calvin Ridley, dude. Calvin Ridley's one of my favorite players.
You know,
one of my favorite players.
And that's the thing I do appreciate about, you know, some things changing in the NFL, is that now you allow players to be able to express themselves. You know, I really like in the NFL how they have the thing on their back of the helmets and it says equal justice. Or Black Lives Matter. And I really do like that. It gives the game a perspective of it's not just the game, it's more... It's life, bro.
Yeah, it's life. Yeah.
There's more...
It's more to it than just what we see on the football field.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I have to take a pee.
All right.
Should we?
You want to end it or you want to cut it?
We could... What's up? You want to go throw the football still?
I'm down.
It's 12:04.
12:04. How long have we been going for?
Probably 50 minutes.
45.
All right, we can end it.
All right, let's end it.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys enjoyed our video.
Yeah. We got a little sidetracked at the end, but that was good football conversation. That's what I like. That's what this podcast is for.
Yes.
Good football conversation, and that's what I love. I love talking football.
It's the best way to go.
Yeah.
You guys get a sense of what's going on. And we explain it, and we have a good time talking about it, too.
I had a great time. This is a good episode.
Yeah.
Very good episode. We talked about some players. We talked about some situations. We talked about a lot.
Player relations. We talked about a lot today.
Yeah.
But aside from that, we should be back next week for another banger video, as always.
Yep.
But that's it from us. You guys have a good day. See you soon.
You guys have a great day. Have a great weekend.